Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel. Come on into this dimension, guys. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and comment and share this video so that way other people can find out about this message if you're about that shenanigans. Tonight, I'm going to be going into some of this radical gender theory ideology. And how in this pride world, right? How in this transhumanism, transgender agenda, right? To merge everything into singularity, to merge everything into artificial intelligence. Okay, essentially, they have to find a weak point in the field of humanity. And the weak point of inception is going to be sexuality. I'm going to break all of this down according to the gay pride flag, as the gay pride flag has all of the chakra colors, symbols on the gay pride flag, but it is essentially inverted according to the Quillipith, the inverted universal tree of life structures. Okay, so I want you guys to take a look at this 13-dimensional avatar energy mechanics picture that I have here. This is not a perfect picture. This is not a perfect universal tree of life. I personally don't feel there is no right or wrong version of universal trees of life. I feel like it is our destiny to design our own according to what feels right in our own geomancy, inside our energetic structures, inside of the body, in our own interdimensional field of navigation, according to our own light body thumbprint. Because yes, it is different for every single person that exists on this earth. Every single geometry print of their universal tree of life template will be according to their own holographic design, so to speak. Okay, so this is kind of how I see my own personal one. I like to keep the 13th, the 1st, the 2nd, the 9th sphere below my feet, because energetically, according to what those spheres represent to me symbolically, I hold them down and ground them into the earth field. Okay, I keep my higher spheres up above in the organic area where my organs are stimulating a subtle electrical impulse. Okay, and so I've come to interpret the feminine and masculine qualities of the body. So if this person, if we're looking at the back of this person's head, we're looking at the right side in the green up at the top of the head, the left side in the blue on the left top of the head. The right side brain is actually the feminine side of the brain. This energy actually crosses over to the left side of the body, left shoulder, left hand, left foot, and it is a magnetic energy, right? This energy is being pulled up from the earth field. So it's actually coming, that negative, you see this negative green charge here, it's pulling up from the earth field, going through the left leg, coming up the left side of the body, and then it crosses in the brain. So right side, female, right side is the female side of the brain. With the masculine energy here, okay, this is really coming down the vertical ascension, okay, coming down as electricity, radial energy. This is coming down the left side of the brain, crossing over to the right side of the body and going down. So you are this simultaneous masculine and feminine principle at all times. So gender principle is a universal law, you guys, and I get really hyped up on this subject, on this topic, because I feel that the universal gender principle is under attack by the dark grids, the black grids, the cabal, by the elite. It is definitely a political agenda to consistently distort natural law, consistent promote anti-biological essentialism, and to continue to create this radical gender theory ideology that basically says now at this current time in this juncture of our existence that there actually is no longer such a thing as a man and a woman. They are basically arguing that this simply just does not exist. Okay, so anybody who is all about organic law, natural law, there is a propaganda that is pushing anti-natural law and anti-organic principle, gender principle, universal principle. Okay, we've seen it with all of the other videos that I've talked about personally. I've put out with what was happening with the magical kingdom, those agendas that they're pushing, trying to teach gender dysphoria, gender confusion, gender misery, basically in elementary schools, to the youth, all of these things, right? So this has been consistently coming up, and I have consistently spoke up and out against it simply because it is an attack on the children. Okay, it is an attack on innocence, and it is an attack on, it's also a national threat. Okay, if you really want to look at this in terms of globalism, in terms of other countries and how other countries actually have not legalized these types of things. They are actually banned in other countries such as Russia or China, which some of you might say, oh, that's not a good argument because how are you going to compare us to Russia and China, these super dominating, masculine superiority, patriarchal type countries? Okay, we can look at it like that, or we can look at it like there is a reason that could over time potentially become a national threat. As the United States infrastructure becomes more estrogenized, becomes more gender dysphoria, gender miseried, okay, as it becomes more misaligned to what a healthy alpha masculine position role is supposed to hold here, what that means to society, to humanity, to the balance of those gender principles and polarities. Essentially, we're going to continue to weaken our military. We're going to continue to weaken the components that uphold and protect and defend our nation. Okay, so on some level, this does become national security threat. Okay. It's also an issue because it is divide and conquer. They are trying to divide and conquer and pin sexual identity as a way to divide and conquer, right? They are creating this dysphoria that community of singularity versus the community of polarity. Okay, singularity and polarity. They're pinning these two versions of each other at war against each other, and it's expressing itself through sexuality. Okay, I'm going to explain that more to you guys with the pride flag, but I just want to let you guys know that, and I've talked about this before, how humanity biologically evolves through the spiritual ascension process, through the alchemical process of synthesizing the pairs of opposing forces within our light body fields. Okay, so this picture that you see here is an expression of that. We are inherently androgynous beings. Okay, we are inherently carrying masculine and feminine principles. Okay, and energetic polarity is gender principle. Okay, so where these people are getting so confused is the differentiation between energetic polarity versus energetic sexual identity. Okay, this is where the implant is getting inserted. So if there was a Draco implant, if there was some sort of nefarious type of collective implant that is inserted right in the lens, it is inserted in between the differentiation between what is energetic gender polarity, which is what you see in this picture here, versus what is gender sexual identity. So all things in existence came into existence within the gender principle of creation. The natural law of polarity is also referred to as the pairs of opposites. So one will notice the same repeated pattern in absolutely every energetic force in the form of matter. Okay, this is natural law. Okay, every person, place, or thing will have an energetic polarity that is balanced or weighed in one form of energetic polarity in its opposite. And this is represented within our gender bodies, which expresses as a polarity in matter form, male or female. While our physical body exists in one polarity form and matter, our internal energies exist at both male and female principles. Our right side is the electric. It works as the transmitter. Okay, this is the masculine. This is the male gender. The right side of the body. The left side of the brain is the masculine brain. The left side of our body is the receiver. This is the passive force principle. Okay. And the right side of the brain is the female brain. And these forces interact with each other. Okay. And in a healthy spiritual light body, this is happening according to the natural organic chakra system, right? So we're able to draw this all the way up to the crown and even beyond the crown into the causal fields. And it becomes a spiritual balance of those energies. Now, why this has gotten so distorted, okay, you guys, why this is creating gender wounding, gender trauma, gender misery, gender buyer's remorse, gender dysphoria, gender propaganda, attacks on the children, attacks on the mother arcs, all of these things, right? Okay, so this is the gay pride flag. And the original one actually has a pink strip at the top. So let me just show you what the original one was. So the original one was created first by a guy named Gilbert Baker. This was what he first originally created. Okay. Now what they've done is they have inverted the chakra system. Okay, so they place the root chakra up at the crown. That's why it is pride, because they are placing the ego up at the crown. They're placing the ego up as self-righteousness, as the I am presence. Okay, and this keeps the ego in the crown. Okay, now this guy Gilbert Baker, who first created it, now, it's really kind of twisted. So if you actually dive into some of this stuff, this guy, Gilbert Baker, this guy was a part of an activist group called Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Okay, and this was like a drag organization. But if you go and actually look up some of this Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, it has a very satanic type of vibe to it. They talk a lot about the embodiment of gender fucking is what they call it. And they actually put out an article in 1974, and they explained what gender fucking was essentially, and what the motivation was through their performing arts. In this group is their motivation was they wanted to criticize and poke fun at the roles of men and women. They want to try on and show how not normal they can be, and they want to ridicule and destroy the whole cosmology of restrictive sex roles and sexual identification. This is quote per Wikipedia, okay, that this came from this group. And so the agenda is really built off of something that is very nefarious. Okay. It is in like a homosexual ideology that they would act this out in guerrilla theater, which guerrilla warfare, you know what that is. So it's this really brute type of theater that is promoting this new macho transvestism called genderfuck. Okay. And so it comes through mocking female impersonation. It comes through, all of these things that men are doing, dressing up as females, that we now just have to morally accept. And this isn't about bigotry. So if you speak up out against any of these things, if you disagree with it on any level, if you even simply state that you understand that a baby comes from a man and a woman, you are now called a bigot. Okay? If you defend what is natural, what represents creation, you are now called a bigot. Okay? And it's violating morality. Okay? It's violating children's ability to have sexual distinction between a man and a woman. And this is essential upon humanity's survival. Okay, I know this sounds a little far-fetched, but if a society is to go ahead and essentially decide that they're no longer going to teach children how babies are born, that it requires a man and a woman to come together and create a child, because it is somehow against this radical gender ideology. Okay. And let's say they outlaw this. Let's say they ban this, that you are no longer allowed to teach the youth the standard general principles of creation, of how babies are born. Well, guess what's going to happen? Babies aren't going to be born anymore. You see what I'm saying? You see what they're doing here? Okay. It's absolutely crazy. I personally feel this is absolutely crazy. I personally feel that men should not be bringing babies in through artificial wombs. I don't even feel in vitro fertilization is okay. I feel like that is a form of creation fracking. That is a form of gene splicing, gene modification, and CRISPR technologies, okay? And that brings in impartial spirits. That brings in confused and disoriented spirits. Remember when I was talking about these spirits that were getting blown up in these nuclear astral time fields and wormhole fields from nuclear sites, war sites, things like this? And so partial spirits are coming through the rips in the time space and the astral. These are the types of spirits that get drawn into these creation fracked incarnations. Okay. Not only that, it's pulling spirits from the Phantom Matrix. It's pulling spirits from the black wormhole systems. Okay. We're going to be creating the new future race according to this. Okay. And so it's going to completely continue to build this mentality, build this collective off of still the idealisms, off of death culturalism, because death culturalism is functioning off the inverted universal tree of life. And this pride flag is a representation of an inverted universal tree of life. So call me crazy, guys. I get so kind of like heated about this because I really worry about the subliminal subconscious programming of the children. I just seen a gal on TikTok the other day who was a transgender kindergartner teacher, and I know it's TikTok, whatever, but she was bragging about how she taught all 32 kids in the class about gender identity, and it's okay to question it, and was like promoting this. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, my gosh, are parents really going to allow this? Like, take your kids out of these schools and homeschool them. Like, this school is no longer a safe place for children, period. It is not a safe place for children. Okay, half of the elementary schools and public schools in the nation are not even funded to any level of standard that your children's even learning anything that substantial. What they are going in there and learning is brainwashing. What they are going in there and they are learning is basically just social programming. Okay, how they want you to socially act, walk, talk, be, and do, and get your social credit score. That's what they're installing. They are not, and they're installing false history. Okay, they're installing an agenda. And they're installing an inverted universal tree of life when we have transgender kindergartner teachers subliminally, subconsciously programming your kindergartners. Okay, I know they're fighting against this in some places like Florida. But in other places where we have these really dense democratic blue states, okay, and I'm not political with this, but that is where primarily the agenda is being pushed the hardest. So if you have little ones in these democratic states, you have to really pay attention to this. Is this what you want your children to know? Because it's fine if they know it. It's fine if they have tolerance, acceptance, love, unconditional forgiveness, unconditional compassion, right? All of these things. We want people to have these things. Okay, but we cannot negate from what governs this earth plane and creational laws. Creational laws are not biblical by any sense. Okay, creational laws are organic law, natural law, and it is what builds and governs the earth plane. So this is the picture I've been wanting to show you guys. This is the inverted chakra system. What these colors represent are, now when I had the original one up here, so just kind of visualize that there's a pink one up here. Now, this pink one, according to chakra, would represent the causal field. And according to the LGBTQRST plus minus community, the hot pink represents sex. Okay, so they are keeping sex at the top of the inverted pride flag. Okay, they're keeping sex in the causal field. They are placing the ideological manifestation of their spiritual light body as a sexualized energy. Okay, they're keeping that above their crown. That means they worship sexuality as their spirituality. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why when we go back to that universal tree of life of masculine and femininity, that's getting distorted as a sexual principle versus a spiritual principle. And that's why there is not harmony in the light body field, if that kind of makes sense. Okay, red is the ego. Red is the root. Red, according to them, is life, but they're placing that in the crown. Okay, the orange to them represents healing. The yellow represents sunlight. The green represents nature. Okay, cool, all good things. The turquoise or the blue represents magic and art. Indigo, the indigo and the violet, which is here at the bottom, which is spirit. Okay, they place that in the root chakra. Okay, and so it is distorted. Okay, when you look in the sky and you see all of the colors of creation in the sky, when you look at a rainbow and you see all the colors of creation in the rainbow, they don't go in this order. Okay, that's how you know this is defying natural organic law. It's the exact opposite orders of a color's person of their chakra. So you can see that this, agenda it's hidden in plain sight for one that can really see it. They're suppressing the spirit in the root. Okay, they're suppressing the masculine and divine universal gender principle. Okay, the universal law, they're suppressing that in the root. It's really just interesting, isn't it, you guys? I don't have much more to say other than all of this. I know I'm like going off on this, but it's something that I do have concern for the future on the 2D and 3D planes. Okay, this will all work itself out on New Earth. This will all work itself out on in the golden age and in the next couple hundred years in the future as we integrate more light, as more people awaken in this ascension process. But we have to hold the understanding of what universal principles, what universal laws represent. We have to teach these universal laws and creation laws to our children. We can't let these radical ideological mentalities begin to bully heterosexual unions. Okay, there's a huge hate campaign behind this that's starting to happen. They're trying to bully heterosexuals. Like, if you are heterosexual, period, you're being called a bigot. Okay, if you believe in heterosexual union, that a man and a woman should be together not only for intimacy, but solely for the purpose of why sex happens in the first place, which is creation. Okay, so this is a manifestation of the Quillipith. This is a manifestation of the inverted universal tree of life. This is the same thing that the AI agenda is drawing its power up of. It's the same thing that the singularity vortexes are drawing their powers up off of. It's the same thing that's plugged into the wormholes into the fallen systems. Okay, it's the same thing that's propagating nefarious agendas here. Okay, it's child harvesting. I literally spoke to a couple people in this community the other day that were telling me that they were Satanists. They straight up told me that they were Satanists. And I asked them, okay, well, then are you serving Lucifer? Are you serving Malak? Are you serving Baphomet? All child harvesting demons and spirits. And they simply don't even know. They don't know even what that is, really. Okay, so they don't even know what they are serving in the spiritual plane. Okay, there are so many filters, there's so many lenses, there's so many programs in the way, and it's simply a movement. Okay, it's simply a propaganda. It is simply a Kool-Aid. Okay, and they drank it. Okay, and so my point in all of this is we just have to teach the truth and ground it in integrity and ground it in morality, and not feed into these radical gender theory ideologies and anti-biological essentialism and this belief that there is no longer such thing as a man and a woman. Okay, in the spiritual plane, in the harmonized spiritual light body field, a healed, healthy light body field, we are both masculine and feminine principle, but not when it's inverted and sexuality is held in the causal field as something to be worshipped. Okay, so this is my internal conflict that y'all are experiencing with me right now. I just feel so, I want anyone to know that's listening to this, I have no ill will against anybody who is gay, lesbian, straight, polyamorous. I don't even know what all the terms are, to be honest with you. I don't. My problem is when I see children being born through artificial wombs, okay, bringing in demonic, lower degraded spirits that are disconnected to the mother arc systems, okay? This is a part of that parasitic energy. I have a problem when the children are being subliminally programmed. Okay, this is when I say I have to say something. I have to stand for what I believe in. And I think everything is all about love and tolerance and acceptance, but I do think there needs to be regulations on these things, just like anything else. I think that sexual gender reassignment surgeries should not be allowed until a child is fully through the phases of puberty and has been deeply psychologically evaluated to make sure that there is no other core wounding going on with that child. Okay, because it could very easily be an issue of deep self-hatred, since they're defending themselves in these social programming public school systems, okay, it could very well be that they are lonely, that they are depressed, okay? A lot of confusion comes when you are lonely and depressed and when you are in fear. Okay, again, that fear affects our ability to have discernment, and it affects our ability to have strong spiritual compasses. And of course, that would be affected. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So it's important that we let people grow into who and what they are. And if there's still a level of confusion at that point, then by all means, like, be free. You know, I'm not saying these things shouldn't exist. These things have been around since the 1800s, I believe, was when we had started to see some of the first transgender things come about, was the 1800s, probably even before that. But when we have this dramatic increase of 40% of all youth are now gender confused or going through some form of gender misery or gender dysphoria, and that number is only increasingly growing, we have to start looking at things like national security. Okay, when we have when our military is full on men dressed up as women and women dressed up as men, and they're all estrogenized and they don't hold any sense of a strong masculine ability to protect, and we're going head to head with this very strong alpha masculine military in Russia type of thing, like, it's not going to be a good situation for the United States. Okay, we're being laughed at and mocked at over here with these things, and there's a place for everything, but it's not in the elementary schools. Okay, that's not where this place is. I can tell you that much. Okay, guys, so check this flag out. Check out the inverted flag. It's crazy, right? So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video tonight. Smash the like button if you did. I'm going to need support on this video because I am touching on some really touchy subjects, but they really do go deep into the spiritual realm and what's being distorted on a spiritual level. And so we got to identify this, right? When we see this really self-inflated, prideful ego at the crown chakra type of mentality, that's basically, this is another invasion. Okay, what we are witnessing is an invasion of a unprecedented volume of what happened in Atlantis. Okay, because we're in a desperate need right now for the spirit of humility. Spirit of humility reduces our need for self-justification and allows us to admit to and learn from our mistakes or our negative ego behaviors. And when we are keeping that root up in the crown, when we are keeping that pride in the crown, okay, we need to focus on humility. Humility is the key to help us overcome many of these thought distortions and evolve. And true humility, it is a spiritual virtue of the Christed energy. Christed energy is not biblical. Cosmic Christed energy, Sophianic Christed energy, all of this is not biblical. This is cosmic law. Okay? And what these people are doing is they are unconsciously giving their consent and power over to the predator realm. Okay, and it's bringing in imposter spirits. It's bringing in more Luciferian and satanic spirit, which promotes false light authority and anti-life architecture. Okay, what do you think this is? This is anti-life architecture. Okay, this does not promote life. It does not promote creation. And this comes through deception, lies, manipulation. This does promote intentional harm to our species as a whole. Okay, this is here to solely serve personal agendas. And it's coming in the guise of tolerance. It's coming in the guise of follow the crowd. It's coming in the guise of all of the corporations that now exclude you if you are a hetero human being. If you believe in the union of a man and a woman, you are now excluded by corporations such as the Walt Disney Kingdom. Okay, so this imposter spirit, this loves to hide inside our schools, our governments, our hospitals, our careers, our family members, inside of us. And it kind of holds this shield of like a false parent. It kind of holds this and most people are unaware that there are dark spirits that are assigned certain purposes by the humans and non-humans who evoke them. Okay, what's the grandstand way to halt to promote depopulation and eugenics agendas? It is to stop people from reproducing. And that's what we are seeing. It's so interesting. I seen this 10 years ago. Okay, I've had visions of this 10 years ago, where this was going. No, I'm just getting that all back. I'm getting downloaded with that. But yeah, guys, I think we're seeing a lot that's running in the Toth grids, the Phoenix grids, the Black Magic grids, all of that. They're starting to run the Armageddon softwares and timelines, and they're bringing forth Black magic magicians. And these are particular archetypes that come in the guises of inverted trees of life that are satanic forces to increase mind control, soul control. And it's starting through sexual trauma. Sexual trauma techniques as young as they possibly can, because they hope to fragment the mind as well as the soul. And when a person is sexually traumatized, it is one of the worst damages that you can commit to the soul. Okay. And they're placing that as the priority. They're placing it in the causal field above the crown. Okay. They're replacing the angelic kingdom with sex. Okay. And it's an act alone that fragments the personality into dissociative states. Okay. Extreme trauma-based disorders. And we are seeing that like crazy in the youth right now. So this is just as bad of a strategy as pedophilia and pedodontia, in my opinion, and why it's so rampant on the earth today. So yeah, they're really trying to siphon off of the consciousness body and the soul body. This all comes back to blood sacrifices, child abuse, all of these things. But yeah, so yeah, guys, anyways, I love you all so much. I know my videos lately have been a little intense, but that's just where I am at. My energy is intense right now. It's super. These energies are pushing me to see more and see deeper into certain and particular things. And it's just what's going down. So yeah, be sure to like this video, comment on this video, and I love you guys. Hope you have a good night.